Hello, Narnach here. Welcome back to Grim Dawn. We're playing the Ashes of Malmouth expansion with a Necromancer. And today we're gonna try to get to the Loghorrean, but before that I'm gonna start with something completely different. The Mad Queen Reshalga. We find ourselves back where we were last time, back on the hidden path. And the hidden path in the snowy area to be exact. And someone mentioned in the comments, I think it was Arx Fatalis, that basically question, why didn't you go to the Mad Queen? And honest answer there is, I didn't realize the Mad Queen was here. I've never done that fight before, and the Mad Queen is supposed to be one of the toughest fights in the game, or at least among the tougher ones. So if you are on the map over here, usually you just enter, you make your circle, you do the fight, you go back the other way and you exit. In the corner here, I think there's a loose stone that you can click. That opens up the rock here, after which it just keeps wobbling. So let's see how this fight goes. It might be that it's going to be very, very one-sided. It might actually be very interesting. Supposed to be a cousin or something of the queen. She's level 50, I'm level 45, so she's 5 above me. Reshalga, the Mad Queen. Second stage, that's always the toughest stage, so let's see how this is gonna turn out. All the corpses around here tell me this might be dangerous. So let's see how it truly goes. I'm just trying to keep the totem up. Okay. So far it's incredibly one-sided. Okay. Oh. To those who've done the fight before, you probably knew what was gonna happen or not happen. This doesn't appear to be all that tough of a boss. Or it could be that I just have a very good mix-up here. That's also possible. As I said, it's the first time I'm doing the fight, so I don't have anything to compare this to. But I'll try to remember this, so for future times we're gonna run through here, that I'm gonna go here as well. So for today, gonna see if we can make our way through from Fort Icon all the way to the Necropolis, and if we're making pretty good progress, there's a good chance that we're actually gonna go after the Loghorrean himself. If not, then that's gonna be next episode. But either way, we're getting incredibly close to the end of the old content and saying hello to the new content.
That skill's not ready.
So I hope you enjoyed the episode that I mixed in between of a look at the cousin build, because now we're playing with a ritualist, a necromancer shaman, and the other one was the kabbalist, the necromancer occultist. And because I do enjoy the necromancer varieties, I've actually earlier this evening I've been playing 3 hours with a reaper necromancer nightblade, and with a friend just went through Port of Volbury for my first time. I must say that's a nice dungeon. Boss fight in the end is pretty darn tough. Actually managed to get to the final fight there, get all of the bosses down except for one, and then die at the beginning of that stage of the fight. So my friend had to defeat him alone. So that's a bit of a repeat of the very first time I went into the Bastion of Chaos. That also ended with me biting the dust against a boss. But no, having gained a small amount of familiarity with the dungeon, that's maybe something to put on the menu for some future time. Because it is a nice dungeon. It's long. I mean, as I said, we've been playing for about 3 hours, going through some of the quest content, but the majority was actually Port of Volbury, both the entrance area as well as the actual dungeon. So there's a Chthonic Rift here, but I don't yet have the quest to do the the Rover's Honored status quest, so there's no real point in going in there yet. So we're just simply gonna move through. So I managed to lose a couple of my skeletons. Downsides that I did contrast in an earlier episode of this particular summoner variation is that you don't have a global heal for your pets. Well, you do have the call of the grave, but it's so in strength. It's not incredibly powerful. So now we do end up resummoning our minions a bit more often. When everything is bunched up, then we have a better opportunity to keep things alive, because then the Wendigo Totem is just gonna heal everybody pretty strongly. But if we're spread out like this, well, then the monsters do have the advantage. Okay. Seem to be missing some skeletons. Okay, there they are. Wonderful. So, Ethereal Obelisk, they are going down pretty well. Pretty well indeed. And that is the entrance to the Necropolis already. So in a side area of the Necropolis, the Black Sepulchre, there is one devotion shrine. Let's have a quick look at our devotion tree once we grab the waypoint. Exactly. Let's have a quick look at it. Do we need the point? Is it gonna meaningfully alter where we are? Because we're still picking up things that are leading towards Ratosh. So currently we need green, we need red. So last time we grabbed the raven, and then next up was the bat, and yeah, we need 3 more points for the bat. So this is not gonna, 1 more point is not going to meaningfully change anything. Because the bat, it's a nice bonus, but it's not like something that is gonna majorly shift the tide of battle for us. Oh, attaching it to the skeletons might help us, or might help the skeletons stay alive a little bit longer. Because it does, I think the heal given by the bat proc does go to the whatever casts it. So if that's a skeleton, then it's gonna be a skeleton. I think Wendigo Totem might not actually be a bad one to boost. Let's put 2 points in. This one's already maxed. Let's see. Yeah, and then slowly, let's spend 1 point per level just advancing our mastery bar. So around 46 now. And now 1 point, maybe sometimes 2 points per level. Boosting it, so then at least by 70-ish or something, we've got this one maxed as well. And then in the meantime, spend some points on the Wendigo Totem. And probably once we have this max, we can spend more points just pushing the mastery bar. Let's raise another skeleton. And keep pushing. So, we need to grab the second waypoint in the Necropolis. Hello everybody.
I can't do that yet.
We do have quite a lot of firepower backing us up. That's the biggest difference with the more hands-on builds, such as a Reaper that uses melee attacks instead of an army of skeletons, or even the Occultist version, where a lot of the damage is concentrated in Bloody Pox. Here everything goes in the minions and there's only a little bit of bonus in the stuff around it. But the minions do pack quite a punch. And all I have to do is keep him alive. I think after we have the Wendigo totem leveled, might not be a bad idea to put some more points in Call of the Grave just to get that minion health regen going. I think I usually stick a little bit more to the right hand side, so I'll just see if this gets me to the center. It's always the area here. I would generally just aim for north and you just gotta arrive where you need to be. Though you might have to take a couple of detours. I wonder why it is that this is one of those areas that just refuses to remain stuck in my head. Maybe because once you're here, it's almost like the last leg of the journey to the destination that is the Loghorrean, so everything just becomes a blur with intense focus on the final boss fight. That might be it. Would be the simplest explanation for it. Okay. So yeah, that goes back to the side. This leads to the top. Ooh, devotion shrine. Wonderful. I had forgotten there was one outside. And desecrated, that's even better. Cool.
Can't do that yet.
Elon Sheen. And Hollow Sheen. Is the other one also a Sheen? Ah, died. I have no idea if that was also a Sheen. Might have been a whole family of monsters. And we killed them. Almost make me a monster. Almost. Let's see. Bonus to bleeding damage and vitality damage. Oh, I think that's only the vitality that is relevant to us. Bleeding was for the occultist. Or the Kabbalist, I should say. Okay. Oh. Bunch of demons. Yeah, but I think that going after the Loghorrean in this episode, it should be doable. We're only 13 minutes in.
Skill's not ready.
Bainzel, the Hellboy. So just like I did for the Kabbalist, I'll soon-ish do another video as well, where I'll just showcase some of the gameplay of the Reaper build I've got. The Reaper is less developed, I would say, than the build I've currently got going. That's way more just winging it with whatever I've got, rather than that I've got a very, very specific build in mind. But I must say, so far, winging it works pretty well. And well, that is one of the strengths of Grim Dawn, that you have a lot of flexibility when it comes to just adapting your build to
Took you long enough. The cult of it
circumstances.
appears that the ritual is being.
So you go scout over on ahead. I'll clear the blood wagons. We still have most of our minions. That is wonderful. Oh, Chthonic Seal of Binding. Which reminds me, purple items. You can now store them in your share stash, which is wonderful. And when you're crafting, things like the Seals of Binding and the Blood of Cthulhu and all those wonderful things, you can no, they will automatically get used from your shared storage. But of course the next logical thing then is to assume that, hey, if you can put all of them in your shared storage, that you will be able to use them for other things that consume those resources. So a couple of things that we've run into already is like dynamite. Now you need to have dynamite with you, otherwise you can't blow up some detonation sites. And I think we needed to go a little further, or oh. Okay, let's go back to, yeah. So no, detonation sites, you do need to have dynamite with you to blow them up. And if you want to fix a bridge, then you need to bring some scrap, because it can't use that from the inventory as well. Discovered if you want to respec some devotion points, then the crystals used for that, you also need to have them with you. So someone mentioned in the comments as well, so I figured, oh, let's have a look if there's a bug on the bug forum about it yet, and I couldn't find anything. So I made a post earlier this afternoon, and I think within 5 or so minutes I got an answer from the devs, and soonish, probably I suspect within one of the next few patches, we'll get the ability to use the crystals for respecing devotions. That will also work from your shared stash. So that's a nice quality of life improvement. Just to bridge to the Chaos. What's called again? Bastion of Chaos. So not gonna go there yet. But all the other things, blowing up dynamite, things like that. Apparently that's so intermingled. Let's go intertwined with the dialogue and quest system that's at this moment not an option. So a small quality of life improvement coming in there, but the inconsistency will remain. So no, just make a habit out of it. Just bringing some dynamite with you for blowing stuff up along the world, because there's the treasure troves that have all those locks around them that require dynamite to be blown up, because it is a dialogue that triggers it. Detonation sites, inventing, that also uses dynamite, of course, and I'm not entirely sure about that actually. As I said, I haven't actually tried that recently. But no, for that it would be useful to have the dynamite with you anyway, whether it works or not. Now there's only a couple places in the game where you need a large amount of scrap to fix bridges. Now the thing we just ran into here that fixes the bridge to the Bastion of Chaos, that is one of those points. Entrance to the East Marsh, that's another one that requires some dynamite to clear it and then some scrap to fix it. And of course the road to between X1 and 2. I also think we might have missed the northern blood wagon. As I say, this area, it's always slightly confusing. That's probably down there. Can we go down there? Well, yeah, it's nice to see that the devs at least are very responsive to it, and now if things aren't possible to be fixed, that they'll actually explain it and give a reason for it, rather than saying, no, we're not gonna do it. Now they actually take the effort to explain it.
I can't do that yet.
Well, I guess one of the things, of course, to keep in mind is that this is an older game engine. So there are limitations they have to work with that some more modern games don't have, because they have a bit more options when it comes to tweaking the engine. But all of that said, entrance to the crypts. Got quite a lot of space remaining here, so that's good. Let's do this. Let's hunt ourselves down a Loghorrean. And then see, of course, what the story is going to be about afterwards. So we'll be facing 3 different bosses before we are done with the Tomb of the Watchers. First is going to be one of the void parasite bosses. Big slug-like thing. It's a bit like a snail and a tree had children. They're a bit odd looking. But again, they're Chthonians, so they're supposed to be like Cthulhu-esque demons. So from that perspective, they're looking the part. You be possessed. Wonderful. I'm very curious to see if the skeletons are gonna hold up in the Loghorrean fight, or whether they're just truly going to get smashed. Let's see, okay, we come from there. Yeah, that's the connecting bit.
That skill's not ready.
That's funny. On the one hand, it's usually longer in between attempts at going after the Loghorrean, because I usually take a bit longer for the series to actually get to the stage. But this was a surprisingly fast playing build, and as such we arrived here surprisingly sooner than expected. Positively surprised, that is. I only hope that all the speed we've had so far is going to extend here. Because though that is sometimes then you're just playing through the game and everything's just going really smooth, and then you set foot in the boss room and then suddenly it's completely different and it's just like you're walking into a brick wall. That's dead end as well. Cool. Now, one of the things that I think I also mentioned it in the in my ultimate hardcore fight with the Loghorrean with my soldier, is that I do like the build-up of this specific dungeon towards the Loghorrean fight, because now there are multiple bosses in here that get progressively harder to deal with. So it's a gradual test of skill, and if the first 2 bosses are already giving you a lot of trouble, then you know that the Loghorrean himself is just probably out of your league still. So you can test the waters without really getting into too much trouble too early. There he is. Pain and galore. Have yourself a spirit. I'll just take a little step backwards here. Make sure I'll keep. He's putting down a lot of poison. Not a big fan of poison. Oh, you got friends, don't you?
I can't do that yet.
Okay, I think my flasks are on cooldown. Wonderful. Whoa. Okay. So set, my flasks are on cooldown. Interesting. So we lost a grand total of 3 skeletons. For the rest, we're doing alright. So is the conclusion to draw there that in terms of skeleton survivability, we're doing alright. It's me that has to worry. I'm gonna be a weak link here. Well. Ooh, wait. One more point to spend, that's 1 more survivability. Okay, so let's just put up a portal there, just in case. But one down, two more to go. And the additional epic boss was, or heroic boss was, of course, an added challenge. Most of the time you encounter him by himself. And then it's... I know, that's probably what the fight is balanced for. But we'll see. We'll see. Okay, some food that restores our constitution to its normal values. And from this one, it was somewhere to the top as well. That we had to be. Hello there. And goodbye. Okay, that is another level up. That's progressing pretty well. Let's see, 2 points in here, 1 point in the mastery bar. Yeah, 2 more levels that way, then that one is maxed. Oh, we also have a point to spend here. I keep balancing them between physique and spirit. No, for health and for damage and energy. As a character that is playing from the front lines, I'm not entirely sure if that's something that I can / should remain doing until the higher levels. On the other hand, oh, the melee portion of the build with the bone harvest, eventually leading to the soul harvest, which boosts the pets. On the one hand, I'm using melee skills. On the other hand, I'm a caster that occasionally just hits things over the head with a very long-range melee attack or long-range weapon attack in order to buff the pets. So no, I've got some melee things, but I'm not really a meleeer, so that's a little bit of an odd mixture there. But bone harvest, just boosting your pets to that degree, it's just too good to pass up. Oh, you could pass it up, but not entirely sure if that's a good thing to do. It's just a nice skill to use. Okay. Bloodlord Thalonis. He goes down pretty darn quickly. Boom. Okay. That's probably because he had no help, and I had a whole army of help. That's probably it. Okay, just put down the portal just in case. Read the last little bit of lore. And let's do this. Ooh, I just realized my resists are not even maxed for the bottom row. Poison is on the lower end. This is probably what hurt us quite a bit in the fight with the bug slug thing at the beginning. We'll see. That's not on hardcore, so I can be a little bit more aggressive rather than just focusing on grinding some more, getting some better gear, improving my components, things like that. So let's do this. Let's do this. The Edge of Madness. Ogrim, buddy. Hey. I put a ill omen on Loghorrean. Seems like I can. Wonderful. Okay, there's some Vanguard dudes in the back here. Let's take care of them first. Wonderful. Minions, attack that dude. Let's just keep leading from the front here. that works as strategy.
That skill's not ready.
Wonderful. I keep casting the Devouring Swarm from time to time just to strip off a little bit of his resistances. Oh, we did lose one of our pets. That's okay, and he's barfing all over me. That's maybe less good. And in the confusion, while just trying to determine which of my pets was gone, Loghorrean actually died. Interesting. So killing him still unlocks Elite. Why does this unlock Elite? Shouldn't we be going to the other side of the world now? Let's see how they are tying things together. Could be that they unlock Elite as a backwards compatible thing to allow people that had access to Elite before to still have access to it. Okay, so we got a whole bunch of green items, but for now, let's just go back and see what's happening. So, for those who haven't seen the fight before, this was the big bad of the old story, and Ulgrim, that has been with us throughout the story. He got devoured after we took down 1/3 of the life of the Loghorrean, and then of course he was no longer there to help us. And before, the ending was rather odd. It was like, sad that he's gone, but okay, let's just move on with other things. It's completely no drama, no real interest or anything, and it was a little odd. So I'm very curious to see what has changed in the dialogue that we're going to get now, as compared to before. So this is going to be the point where lore is going to go back on, and where I probably should... dialogue is already maxed out. Probably should just make it... shift the balance down a little bit, so that relatively it's going to be a little bit louder from here on. So let's listen.
You've returned. Is it finished then?
The beast has been banished, but Ulgrim was pulled into the void along with it.
So our great moment of triumph is soured with tragedy. The cult's defeat at the Necropolis marks humanity's first major victory in this conflict, proving that we are not going to simply lie down and let ourselves be wiped out by fiends and spirits. Word of this victory will spread and give people hope that someday this nightmare will truly be over. Yet we cannot forget those who sacrificed their lives to bring us here. Brave men and women of the Black Legion who took up arms in the defense of Uralan, a nation that scorned them as criminals, outcasts, and even traitors. In death, they were none of those things. They died as heroes. But I refuse to count Ulgrim among the dead just yet. I owe him that much. I could use your help. Are you with me?
Okay, so that last bit. I could use your help. Are you with me? That, I think, is new. But of course, there's now a follow-up quest. So, how can I help?
Arumi Tal, Loith Soleil, Loith Vismir, Monum Ulgrim Thanokolo Utoklein! This is too dangerous. Need to find another way.
The rift gate! Something's coming through!
Inquisitor Creed. Devil's Crossing was attacked.
Take it easy, John. What's happened?
Some new kind of Ethereum. Just smashed right through our defenses. We need reinforcements. We're in bad shape.
I'll send help, but I can't spare much. We're equally pressed here. The loss of Ulgrim to the Void may be more serious than you realize.
Ulgrim is dead, Creed. You must know that. My people need help now. We won't survive another attack.
John,
It came from Malmouth. That thing that attacked Devil's Crossing. I escaped the city with a small group 2 weeks ago. Most died crossing the burning fields. My father was pulled into the bog by cannibals. I had to leave him. I was the only one who made it to Devil's Crossing. Malmouth has been a living nightmare since the Grim Dawn. I was part of the resistance there, if you can call it that. The Ethereals toyed with us, as if we ever had a chance. They let us fight on because they needed us. Needed our bodies for the grotesque things they make deep beneath the city. You think you're safe here, behind your stone walls. But those things from Malmouth will keep coming, and they will find you. And no fortress will ever be able to save you.
a chilling tale indeed. In our fight against the Chthonians, we've overlooked a growing ethereal threat. We must find Ulgrim. But maybe we can aid Malmuth at the same time. You've already done a great deal, but we must ask for your help once again. We need you to strike at the heart of the ethereal invasion, far to the east, in the ruined city of Malmuth.
Aha, another cinematic. Got some Black Legion reputation and our first legendary, the Guillotine, two-handed axe. +1 to all skills in Soldier and Shaman. Bunch of bleeding damage, crit damage, bleed damage and life leech. And 20% chance on enemy death to revel in death, which boosts bleed damage and life leech even further. Interesting, though not for us. But we finally got a quest to move forward. It's interesting, I never noticed that Port Volbury is over here, on the opposite side of the conflagration from where you start. But apparently this is where Malmuth is. Chances are we're gonna find some entrance into this. Let's see what Inquisitor Creed has to say.
Good, you're back. Do you have a moment?
Sure, what's up?
I struggle to admit this, but I must abandon my efforts at opening a rift to reach Ulgrim. For all I've learned in battling the occult, I'm no warlock. During my last attempt, I nearly lost control of the ritual when something tried to breach my portal from the other side. This is too dangerous to continue. To make matters worse, Captain Bourbon has just arrived with a girl named Amala, bearing dire news from the east. While we struggled here to stop the Chthonians from unleashing terror and madness upon the world, the Ethereals have been far from idle. Everything they had done in this region is merely a sample of what is to come, if what Amala says is true. As much as it pains me to say this, our plans to rescue Ulgrim are secondary to this rising threat in the fallen city of Malmuth. The passage north from Burwich is quickly closing as the Aether Fire consumes everything. But perhaps we can accomplish both goals at once.
Okay, so what do you have in mind?
You see, the Luminari have long been aware of a coven of witches hiding out to the north of Burwich, using the treacherous territory to deter pursuers. The witches will know the lay of the land and should be aware of any paths that remain through the Aether Fire. And I have hopes that they will be able to do what I could not, reveal where the Loghorrean has taken Ulgrim. I would go myself, but I doubt the arrival of a high-ranking Inquisitor will be looked upon kindly within their circle, and I am needed in Devil's Crossing. I know that you have suffered much already in the defense of humanity, but you are the only one who can trust with this. Take my pendant and travel north from the Burwich Estates. A barrier of Aether Fire will stand in your way, but the pendant will make short work of it. Head north through Gloomwald until you've reached the edges of Ugdenbog, where I believe the Coven has made their home. You cannot arrive empty-handed, and they may well burn any memory of discovering their location right out of your mind. I recommend you hunt down a creature known as Caraxus Fowl, the scourge of Uchtdembog. I imagine it has grown quite large over the years, preying on unwary travelers making their way through Gloomwald. Find the beast within its waterside lair at Gloomwald, and bring its heart to the Covenant. I'm sure they'll find some nefarious use for it. But we must overlook that in light of our situation. Show them this keepsake of Ulgrim's and find us a way to Malmouth. We will be awaiting your signal.
Okay, let's do that. So, the devs did say there was no 2 new parts to the story, so presumably Gloomwald through Barrowholm, Uchtdembog, Barrowholm. This is probably Act 5, so to say. And then over here around Malmouth is Act 6. And with the boss fight that has already been announced going after the big bad, that's probably going to be the conclusion of Act 5. So it's already nice that now we seem to know at least a little bit of the structure here. So let's have a chat with folks. Let's see what Amala has to say. She does have a quest for me.
Excuse me, could I have a moment of your time? I overheard that you will be headed beyond Gloomwald in the hopes of reaching Malmuth. It's noble of you to spearhead this effort, but I was hoping there was something you could look into for me. You see, I did not travel down here alone. I was with my father. He was injured in Gloomwald, and I had no choice but to leave him behind in search of aid.
Ooh. Family members that get left behind in Grimdom rarely survive. I wonder if that pattern is gonna continue or whether he's actually gonna be alive and well. So what happened?
My father and I were part of a small group that managed to escape the confines of Malmuth's ruins, but we did not get far before the casualties began. The spreading aether fire and roaming ethereals saw to that. But it was not until we reached Uchtdembog that the horrors truly began. Cannibals, poisonous fumes, and even carnivorous plants threatened our every move. By the time we entered Gloomwald, it was just my father and I, but we were not out of danger yet. A pack of cannibals ambushed us in the night. My father was injured in the fray. While it wasn't fatal, I had no choice but to leave him so that I could find help. Eventually, I found my way to Devil's Crossing. I'm not sure how long my father can survive on his own. He was never very good with weapons, or much of anything for that matter. Nevertheless, he's the only family I've got left, and I want to look for him. But the Inquisitor insists that I first debrief him on every detail that I can recall on Malmuth. On your way through Gloomwald, will you spare some time and search for my father? He could not have strayed far from the main road.
Sounds like it would be useful for me to also get some intel on what's happening in Malmuth, but sure, no, be debriefed by the Inquisitor. I'll get the summary later on. So, Bubben, what's up with you? How are you suddenly so convinced that Ulgrim's dead? You weren't even in the fight, man.
We'll be setting out for Devil's Crossing soon. I pray nothing worse has befallen the refuge in my absence.
So what happened?
We were attacked by a never-before-seen ethereal monstrosity. It exited the rift yesterday morning, and while the salt lines caused a great agony, it was able to cross and attack. We lost many people taking it down, including Sadina, who sacrificed herself to cripple the beast with one of her runes. May she rest in peace.
Okay, Sadina was the seer, I think, that initially drove the ethereal out that was possessing our main character, and that allows you to respec your skill points. So, curious to see what's up with that later on. So, who's the girl?
Her name is Amala. She wandered into Devil's Crossing a few days ago. Claims she's from Malmouth, far to the north. If that's true, and thus far I have little reason to believe otherwise, then she's been through one hell of a journey to reach us, and she did not paint a pretty picture of the city. We were attacked by a never-before-seen.
He's now starting to loop. Let's see what Creed has to say.
Though the situation is dire, we must remain hopeful. We're counting on you.
That is a keepsake of Ulgrim's.
I know. It doesn't seem like much, but this is one of only a few things Ulgrim dragged around everywhere he went. It clearly had sentimental value. Something the witches can use to divine his whereabouts, if he still lives.
Okay, so why is finding Ogrim so damn important? I mean, no? I'm the hero, he's just a dude.
There's a lot to Ulgrim that you don't know about, that none of us know about. He seems more than human, and I suspect has been walking this world for a lot longer than you and I combined. He could become a devastating weapon of the Chthonians if we allow them to corrupt his mind. Maybe there is some degree of camaraderie influencing my thinking, but I do feel that he could become a threat if we leave him to be consumed by the madness of the void.
Okay, interesting. Interesting indeed. So Ulgrim's keepsake, a frying pan, a rather mundane object considering the implications. Inquisitor Creed hopes to use it to hone in on Ulgrim's location. And we got Creed's pendant, which looks a lot larger but is probably smaller, but just more detail that we can see this way. At first glance it appears to be a simple pendant with an ornate rune at its center, yet it emanates with power. Okay, 9th entry in Journal Creed's journal. With the help of the Taken, we've dealt a serious blow to the cult of Cthon. I don't want to diminish the immensity of such a triumph, especially given the small force and limited resources we're working with. But I fear it has come at great costs. While our attention was focused on denying the Loghorrean entrance to this world, the Ethereals were certainly not idle. Many Devil's Crossing have paid the ultimate price, but such is the way of war, and it may sound callous to say, but we traded well. Losing only a handful while preventing a monstrosity from escaping the void that could have heralded the end of the world as we know it is a win for humanity. What disturbs me though is the loss of Ulgrim to the void. Bourbon apparently does not share my concern, and I think he sees it as ill-afforded sentiment on my part. Bourbon sees Ulgrim as merely a man, but I'm certain there's more to him. I believe he's an ascendant, a man who has become a demigod. Ulgrim expertly plays the part of a jovial and unassuming character, but his eyes say much more. He makes offhanded references to historical events with details and a familiarity of someone recalling a personal memory. For all his outward jocularity, there is gravity to him, and it is clear that he has witnessed much. I suspect more than one could experience in a single lifetime. Yet for all that, and despite his obvious efforts to downplay it, Ulgrim possesses remarkable strength and energy for the middle-aged man he appears to be. He often carries himself in a relaxed, casual manner, moving languidly. But at rare moments I've seen him react and move with impossible speed. I feel that he could do much more than he has in fighting the enemies of man, but I'm not sure why he's holding back. Perhaps we will never know now. Maybe Bourbon is right, perhaps Ulgrim is lost to the void. Somehow though, I feel we will see him again. And if we do, it could go a long way towards confirming my suspicions. Then again, strange times are these, where a nameless wretch, cut from the noose, has risen to become possibly the greatest hero of our time. If the Taken continues on this path and survive this war, I wonder if perhaps they too are on the path of ascendancy. Ooh. Is this a spoiler of what is to come? Will we be ascending? Path of Exile style. Okay. So can we still go back here? I'm curious. Now I know the episode's running a little long. Next episode I am just gonna go towards Burbage and then see just how we can get to out of town. But for now let's have a look at Devil's Crossing, see what has changed. Or if it's still the same. So we have the same folks, we still have the inventor services here. That is the monstrosity, it's pretty darn big. Creed and Bourbon are here. Our buddy Barnabas here. Yep.
It's one thing to wage war, for man to kill another man for the sake of food, land, wealth, all deplorable acts that make us less than human. But this thing, this ethereal abomination made of human parts, designed to butcher us all, that is war brought to entirely new, repulsive lows.
We must persevere. Okay. I do feel that the voice acting is pretty much out of whack with the volume of the music. So I'm just gonna shift this around a little bit more.
It's one thing to wage war, for man.
Okay, I think that the balance between music and vocals is now a little bit better. Because I always do post-processing in Audacity after recording the episode to get the balance better, and especially to balance the game audio against my own voice. But so if the dialogue was off by a bit, I do apologize for that. That's the first episode where I'm actually paying attention to it. So from here on, we're just trying to improve upon that. But there's a big monstrosity here. That one of the shops is completely annihilated here, so we only have the salvage dealer to have a chat with. But for the rest it looks like town is still alright. We did lose the respec option, that is too bad. And for the rest, that is it. So I wonder if okay, they did mention that there are witches in here, so maybe one of the next big towns that we make it to, Coven's Refuge sounds like a town or something. Maybe that is where we're gonna pick up the services that we lost. But it's something to keep in mind if this is the first time through, that you will be losing out on some services. But with that said, I'm gonna thank you very much for watching, and I definitely hope to see you again next time when we venture forth into the new content of the Ashes of Malmouth. Bye bye.